we are heading into Orangeville today, and it's a pretty cool little town. There are lots of neat things to do, lots of historical buildings and such. But today we are going to a restaurant, but this restaurant's a little bit different because it used to be an old train station, and so it's got a lot of history. Recently it came under new ownership, and the new owners have done a bit of a revival of the place. So in that, they've learned a few things from staff about some goings on within the place that can't necessarily be explained. So we're gonna head over there and check it out, see what we find, see what's going on at this interesting, cool little restaurant.
Good, how are you?
I'm good. So we're here at the Barley Vine Rail Company.
Yep.
This is Angela, who is owner of this place.
Yep.
And you and I have spoken very little about why I'm here today. So
Yes.
I'd like you to tell me a little bit about some of the experiences that people have had here, why you think it was a good idea for me to come today.
Sure. So over the past 8 months that my partner Mark and I have owned Barley Vine Rail, we've had a couple of staff say different things, that they've heard noises. Some of them are uncomfortable being here at night, and some of them just have reiterated the same sort of stories over and over to me. They kind of poke fun at each other and pass it off as a joke and say you're hearing the furnace or the hood fans of the kitchen, whatever else it may be. But continuously someone else will say, no way, I've had the same experience. And it's sort of just been noises or shadows, or they feel like someone else is in here with them, and they chalk it up to, I'm overreacting, it's a noise. But it's been numerous people saying the same thing.
Okay, is there a location in particular within the space that this has been happening in?
I would say downstairs it happens more often, or if someone is up here late at night, which happens often with our chefs, and in the kitchen area, in the back area over there. So mostly here and downstairs.
Okay, so can you give me an example of some of the feelings that people have had that maybe make them feel a little bit easy? How have they described that to you?
They've described it as hearing a noise, moving on and ignoring it, hearing a noise again, and then suddenly feeling as though someone came in. So to the point where I've had some staff say they've gone and double checked that the doors have been locked. They were worried that somebody broke in while they've been here. And I guess just that general feeling of, I heard something confidently enough to think someone else is in the building, and they'll do a check and nobody is.
Okay.
And they then tell me it made them feel uneasy.
Okay, super. I want to ask a little bit about the shadow, or someone seeing something that looks like a shadow. Where was that? What did that look like to them?
Downstairs, there were some times when Mark and I were actually building up a lounge down there that even I would think Mark had moved to a different location, and I would call out to him, but he was on another side of the building. So sort of a trick of the eye, I would say, is what I would chalk it up to again. And some staff saying the same thing, that they would look out of the corner of their eye because they thought they saw something moving, but nothing was there. So they're not able to fully describe it or be detailed about it, just that they saw something and looked and nothing was there.
Okay, great. So it sounds like there are probably two locations that I'll want to visit. One will be maybe this back kitchen area you're referring to, and the basement restaurant area down there. Lounge and kitchen.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I think the last thing that might be worth talking about, it would be a little bit of history about this place. To your knowledge, what are the prior uses? What happened in this space? How old is it? Just to fill our viewers in, and me as well.
So the building itself is, don't quote me, about 100 years old. It was the actual train station in a different location of Orangeville. And when that ceased, it was moved here and it became a restaurant. So it's been 3 or 4 different restaurants. Barley Vine has been about 6 years now, but 2 or 3 restaurants before Barley Vine Rail. And downstairs has been used as banquet space, office. People have rented it for dancing lessons. I'm aware there's also an antique shop that ran out of there for a short period of time, an artist studio that ran out of there. I've heard many different things from people in the community that I wasn't even aware of, but as they visit the lounge downstairs, just guests that come and speak to myself or Mark, they've said, oh, a friend I had used to run his business down here for a short period of time. So it's just been numerous hands in and out, particularly downstairs, using the space for multi-uses.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think this is our time to check it all out.
Okay,
All
good.
right. Okay, so this was one of the locations that some staff had reported either hearing noises or feeling a little bit strange. Okay, as soon as I come in here, I'm pulled to this area right here, and I feel shaky, and actually I feel a little bit nauseous. There's a couple of things. The first thing that I just want to tune into here is that it feels like there are energy pathways everywhere in spaces, homes, outdoor places. This is one that feels like everything gets kind of clogged here. And sometimes there's even like a physical manifestation of that energy pathway. And it's interesting here that we find, okay, it's the back of the kitchen, it's a little bit of trash storage, but as I mentioned, often there's a physical manifestation of what's happening energetically, and what feels like it's happening is like a pooling of like junk energy. And so I'm actually not surprised, because as we sort of walk into the restaurant and come through this back way, you come immediately into a wall, and then the energy would sort of have to turn the corner to the door to make its way out. That's the first thing that I'm picking up on, and that accumulation of just excess kind of a bit junk type energy just makes me feel sick to my stomach. And there's also another story going on here. And I think actually just before I tune into that story, I'm gonna call Leanne over. Leanne?
Yes.
Did you wanna just have a check out of that area and just let me know what that sort of feels like for you?
I have the same reaction: nausea, chills, very heavy energy.
And my face is feeling really hot.
Very flush.
Are you feeling like that
Yeah.
as well? Okay. I just feel like there's another story here too, so I'm just gonna tune into that as well. Ooh, okay. All right. Okay, so my eyelids are starting to really flutter right now. My heartbeat is racing. Other than this pathway of just sort of like junk energy accumulating here, needing to move itself out, I also have a sense of a small looking man here, almost like sitting at a bench or a desk. But I actually feel like this is someone that must have worked within this space, and this is not an imprint. And one of the ways that I teach students to tell the difference between an imprint or an actual spirit presence is if they recognize that you observe them. So if they make eye contact with you, this is usually an indication that we actually have spirit presence here, as opposed to just an imprint of what has gone on in this space. And this small man's looking right at me. So there's a lot of energy here. Oh wow, can you see my eyes moving? Mm-hmm. Wow. This feels like a little bit of a grumbly energy, not the nicest. But I also feel like very non-mischievous, not really a problem, just present.
Yeah.
Can you feel any of that? Oh, if you could check her eyes out. Wow.
Very unsettled.
Yes, very unsettled, a little bit grumbly, a little bit grumpy. As I mentioned, not much interaction going on with people here. Just, I think people have had a sense of that presence. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to have a little bit of a conversation. Yes, he's also making reference to like some type of either a leg disability or a leg injury happening there. Because he makes me feel like to get up out of this desk is like a challenge. And he's also referencing to me like it's very unsettling, hey?
The nauseous.
Yeah, it's very unsettling.
Heavy.
He's saying to me that, chronic pain like changes people's personalities. So this is something that's gone on for him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to just come out of there for a moment. I'm going to see if I can help this person along his way. Yeah, he's just making me feel like I'm going to tip over. That's good. That already feels better. My stomach just let itself out there, dropped. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll just speak to the owners about the energy part, because we do play a role in that, where we have energy pathways in a building. When they run through the length of a space directly into a wall, we have this accumulation. And so I think I'll just give them a bit of a consult on how we can better use this space to allow the energy that comes in that we don't necessarily want to stay in this space, let it flow out of the building, out into the natural space. So it's a really funky feeling here. I know that Angela, the owner, mentioned that there is storage further back this way that we don't necessarily need to access. But this is a bit of a claustrophobic feeling that I get here. And just a second before we started filming, someone poked me in the arm. So I don't think this is necessarily like a spot where there is sort of like a spirit present in a stationary way. This feels like just someone who's moving around. And spirits, people are interesting Not spirit loved ones, but non-transition spirits. They react kind of in an interesting way when someone notices them, because when they are resident in a space, for the most part, nobody notices them. So when they become noticed, they like to notice you back. And so this is probably what this poke is all about. So we're sort of stepping into a game like Clue right now, and we're going to open our space. Revival 1863 opens. Wow. Huh. Okay. Yeah, so we definitely have a bit of a playful spirit here. Again, not in a way that necessarily makes people feel uncomfortable, just a little bit like hoppy, jumping around, moving, which is actually what I felt when we were out at the entrance there. Not resonant in a particular spot like that gentleman upstairs. This is very different. Sort of like a fun-loving nature, but nonetheless doesn't need to be here anymore. So I actually can't locate this spirit because it keeps moving. So I'm going to keep moving to see if we can make a bit of contact. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to back off because I never want to really intrude. Like all people who are living, also people who are past have free will choice. And so we never want to really interfere on that. So I'll just sort of slowly make my contact here. Leanne, are you getting a sense of anything here that you might want to speak about?
I feel a higher vibration down here, higher energy, okay. almost like a funner energy, but a little bit mischievous.
Yes, that's exactly the same energy that I picked up on. Yeah, that's the energy of this space, but also there's a contributing spirit here at the same time. It doesn't really concern me too much, but nonetheless, again, that when our time here is done, our time here is done.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Let's move on. All right. There's this really beautiful, like, mystery energy here. I can see why people would love it, for sure. Really harkens back to an interesting time. But there's a bit of that undercurrent, even of this sort of era of, not everything out in the open. And this space holds that energy, which I find really fascinating. Yeah, so I'm just going to make some contact here for a few minutes because I'm already getting some sort of information from the spirit who's here. Yes, I do, in fact, feel like there's been sort of direct contact made. Okay, we'll have to ask and find out if, I know there's a chef working down here. We'll have to find out if that person feels like they've had, not just hearing things, but had some kind of direct interaction with something he can't see. So we're going to ask about that if we can. So I was just following back through the kitchen into this area, and as soon as I hit right about here, I just feel like I want to pass out. I just got really dizzy, a big wave of dizziness, and I had a sense right when we came around the corner that this must take us to the restaurant upstairs, which is correct. And even though spirits have no form, so that means they can walk through walls, you don't have to have a doorway to walk through. I actually feel like this is a pathway up and downstairs for this spirit. Upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs. So just when I came here, I was just sort of following the trail of that energy, and it actually did go upstairs. So I'm going to try to make contact with this spirit, but I have to do it not upstairs. I'm going to do it down here and just sort of make the contact across time and space. So I'm going to head back into the main area to do that.
Because just a while ago, a guest was here, and he mentioned about down here, there used to be an old antique market, and apparently some questionable people frequent there or work there. So it's kind of like one of those things where you're like, okay, so, you know, there might be a question in my mind that there's something here.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to make contact now with this moving around spirit that we have in this place. So, yeah, give me a couple minutes to do that. Let's see if I can sort of track him down and make a link here. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird energy. It's a little bit weird, a little bit of strange eye movement happening there for him. Spirits don't look like anything. They don't have a body, they don't have form. But as mediums, when we describe what they look like, it's an image that's projected to us. So he just projected an image to me, and he had a bit of a strange looking eyes, actually. It's a bit of an unsettled energy there. Leanne, are you able to pick up on him as well?
I picked up a little bit. I actually felt like a block when I went to move forward in there, like he didn't want me to go any further. So I stayed where I was, and right now I just checked in with you, and he almost feels like ownership of it. He doesn't want to leave. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, I feel the same sort of energy, and that's my speculation earlier was that this would be a spirit that was sort of a little more difficult to help transition or do the releasement than the gentleman upstairs. But yeah, it's a little bit of a strange energy there. So did you want to, actually both of us could make contact with him now and just sort of get a gauge of, you know, how we can assist, and also let him know that his time has come and gone, and you know, there's a lot of lovely work going on here. This place is beautiful, people care about it, and that they have ownership of this space.
Right.
So let's just spend a few minutes doing that now.
Okay.
Okay, one thing that he's talking to me about right now, part of his sort of reasoning for not moving on, there is definitely fear there on his part, and the fear is fear of judgment. So there would have been sort of experiences in this individual's life where he would have had some misgivings or misdeeds. There is some fear initially, and I need to talk about like a long time ago. This is not a contemporary to this time period. I'm going back maybe like I don't know, something maybe along the lines of, I don't know, it's too rough to say, maybe 100 years or so. This is like the era that I'm looking at. But I actually feel like, in particular, I'm not sure that he is here because of the land location so much as it might be the building location. Because as I understand it, this building was moved, although I don't know if this basement part was moved, but okay, so there's some fear there. Did you get any sense of that from him?
I didn't get a lot of sense of fear, but I also felt a small amount of gratitude for someone being here and to able to communicate with him.
Yes, that's exactly it. When we came in, he gave me the sense of like, whoa, you can notice me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's continue this dialogue here. So I'm just letting him know that, you know, the spirit world, the universe is forgiving. And that he has a much better journey ahead, not staying attached to this space. And there he goes. I just want to make sure there he goes. That feels good. How about you?
Good. I heard just remember me. That's
Okay.
so we just wanted to be remembered here as well.
Okay. Yeah, it just feels a bit like a safe landing spot for this individual. So, for whatever reason in his life, this felt like a safer place than maybe what he thought he would sort of meet after transitioning. But of course, his presumption was incorrect.
Right.
This is a loving, forgiving universe meant for soul learning. So this is good. It's been a good haven for him for, I think, a number of years.
Yeah.
But that's good to say he's moved on. Super.
Awesome.
It looks like our work here is done.
Done. This was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.